Well, it looks like our tank primed. The first couple coats is dried up beautifully. All we need to do now is flip battery chargers, look around, make sure that the mice didn't eat any of the motorcycles, and the most important thing, have a giant cup of coffee, and we'll be ready to go. We always start off the day trying to make a plan, and the plan today is Turbo Steve may be able to stop by to work on his project, do some laying out of the paint. So this is what I came up with as a way of getting that tank up by the heating vent where it would get plenty of heat, dry the primer a little bit faster. It's been drying for many hours now. So, and we have our trying to get our shop ready so Steve can lay out this paint job. He's got a sketch. I don't know what he really wants to do, but I expect him here in an hour or two, and we'll see how this plays out. So the first thing I want to do today, before even hear from Steve, I got up real early. I want to try to get this part sanded out with 400, get some sanding, pick up the high spots, see what other work we have to do on it before we put the next coat of primer on. And we're going to be doing this with Rhino Wet Plus Indasa 400. Because our tank's been drying up by that heating vent overnight, we should really, that primer should be ready to sand. I had to make this little, still laughing about it, a stack of tires to get it up close to the heating vent so I get the most heat on it overnight. So what I wanted to do the first thing today, I noticed this area has the most work to be done on it. I want to pick up any high spots, just very, very carefully work these areas until I see high spots coming up. I don't want to sand it back down to bare metal, but I do want to, the objective here, I want to work this area here that I spent a lot of time on, and it's this side here that needs the most work. So while I'm waiting to hear from Steve if he's going to be able to make it today, I can get a couple hours of work in on this morning. Now as early into this as I've already been, I want to show this. We already have picked up a high spot. So there we go. So obviously this is an area we have to work on. And I know in here there's going to be some, so I'm going to just be real careful with the soft block and 400 and try to work on the whole part and see how many high spots I pick up. Now after really spending some time with that primer, I can see I have a high spot, and of course this is where all the Bondo work is, so we expect that. So I'm going to mix up a tiny amount of the 4C, and the trick with doing this, not really a trick, but I want to go over it, just a skim coat, what we did on the last video, a skim coat over this whole seam, and then sand the seam, and really I'm going to spend some time doing it. That's not going to be a 5-minute thing. I want to renew the tape. The tape was getting loose from wet sanding it, and which happens all the time. But getting a nice skim coat on that, and I'll have time to let that dry. I'll put it right up by the heating vent. It'll dry in 20 minutes. And we have had the best of luck with this product. Now, I'm not sure, see, I'm sure some body men would just take the red lead material for that. I want to try using a Bondo. I think it's just a lot better material. This will be challenging, I'm sure. Because what I want to do is I want to bury that high point. I'm not so sure this is exactly what I want to do. I guess we're going to find out here one way or another. I want to be on both sides of the high point by at least an inch so I can work that back down in there. Now I may have to do this several times because this is one of the things that I would really like to get exactly right. Not almost right. I would really like to get it as good as I can make it. Well, because I don't have to deal with Miles today. I gotta let this dry right up by the heating vent. Maybe it'll stink the house up. Maybe Karen will murder me. You don't know. If this is the last video, you know she murdered me. I'll buy a heating vent today. With the heat never shuts off in this old house. That'll be ready to go in about 20 minutes. Now what I want to do is I want to pick up the high spot. So I'm using a hard block. It's going to immediately pick up the mountaintop or the high spot. As soon as I see the high spot, and here it comes. And this is just an ordinary piece of 180 sticky back. Not looking to make it smooth yet, but I know the high spot is right here. And because this curve that goes here is in 3 segments, you really can't make it one big curve. It will not be attractive or correct. So I need to pick up the line where this ends. And all this is doing is picking up the edge, Now I'm going on a 45 that way, a 45 this way. I'm going to see the lines start coming through, and then I can start sanding this. And I know what I have. I may have to do this 2 or 3 times. We don't know. So now I know I'm right here, the high spot. Now I can get the soft block. As long as I know I have material on both sides of the high spot, what I know is I've kind of almost neutralized that. But now I have to feather in the edges. But now I don't want to hit that high spot anymore. I don't want to sand a hole in the tank. So I'm just trying to feather this in. But I do have some material, and I may have to do this. It doesn't matter how many times. I want it to be right when I'm done. Just one reason we restore these things in the winter. In the middle of the summer, I'd want to be out riding. But you can see how nice this material powders off. It really is a nice material. Now normally you would use that red stuff to do this. Red lead or whatever they call it. But I'm really hoping I can use this material. I'm trying to familiarize myself with it. I'm very happy so far with the results, and every time I use it I get more comfortable and confident in how many things I'll be able to do with it in the future on restorations. Now with the sanding done, I want to prep the tank up. I want to seal this lid, put a new piece of tape up there, wipe this all down, tack rag it, get another coat of primer on this. This is going to be better than it was, but I just have a feeling I'm not going to be happy with it. And a day or 2 from now, I'll be, well, you know, I'm never happy. That's the first of 3 coats of primer sealer. And again, we won't know until this dries up and see how it comes out. We'll wait a good hour, and this coat it's below freezing, so we'll wait a good hour between coats. Just let that sit out here, but it's brutally cold. Now this is a secret to riding in the cold and painting in the cold. When it's below freezing, keep that coffee flowing. And Karen knows every hour I drink a pot of coffee. The other thing to always remember, and this is a pretty reasonable tip, in this cold weather, I like to let it dry outside till it's dry to the touch. The reason for that is it gets a good chemical bond to whatever's underneath it. But then from that point on, I want it to dry. Now if Karen is around and we're going to have to deal with the smell in the house, well luckily today I have some free time and I can put it up by the heating vent as soon as it's dry to the touch. The only thing that stays outside overnight, no matter what, is anything with clear. Stays outside until you can't smell it. Well, it's roughly an hour later and I've got the second coat of primer on there. I'm trying to take advantage of the sun, and what I'll do is after about a half hour I'll turn the part, let the sun cook the other side. And then once it's ready, really dry, I'll bring it downstairs and stick it by the heating vent. Well, it looks like that's a lot better, but again, I'm never sure until I see it in, you know, in its final illustrious state. Now, second coat of primer is drying out there. Now, here's the big thing. Steve is on his way, so we're going to get his job backmasked off at a minimum, and maybe some paint. But there's always a part in a restoration where I put the power sanders away. And that's today. And from this point on, everything will be hand sanded, if anything. And that tank actually is looking pretty good after the second coat of prime. Now, when Steve actually gets here, we're going to backmask off his project. I'm going to try to, at some point in time, get the, when it's dry, get the tank up there by the heating vent. But if we can get his, if we can get his project backmasked today, that'll be wonderful. It's actually a decent day to paint, but I think what's going to happen, we're going to run out of time because Karen has a doctor visit this afternoon. And so that's going to limit the amount of time we have, but it's just like when I did these two parts. If you rush it, you won't enjoy it. So what I try to do in preparation for getting Steve's stuff ready is to get all his parts laid out on our, what is now the Ninja bench. It changes from day to day. Try to get all my stuff up on the FZR bench. It doesn't fit though, that's the problem. And I'm sure he's got a vision in his mind of what he wants the paint job to look like. Now, it's an important thing in the case of doing a paint job like this. I wanted to have the white stripe, and this is the way I've gotten all the body work done, but it's going to allow us to put a white stripe. Then one side is going to be black unless he's changed his mind, and one side red. So we're always going to do the black side first. It's easier to touch it up then if there's a problem, because what I want to have is the last thing to do the red. Pull off the tape, the stripe will already be there, put the stickers on, the decals, and we'll be ready to shoot some clear. But we're not going to obviously get it all done today. It's going to go probably another week or so. But that's the whole point, is how you lay out a paint job. Now, an example of how not to do this would be to paint the whole thing red, and then paint the black, and then do the white stripe last. You would have used up just too much backmasking. It's always good to do the smallest color first, and then the color of the two to the left, assuming there's three colors, the one that's the easiest to touch up if there's a problem. And anytime there's red or yellow, I always like to leave the red or the yellow right to the end. And that's worked pretty well for me over the years. Also out on the Windy U channel, there are several total restorations. The green bike, the West Cooley bike, every step of the way. If you're bored, that's a good way to spend your boring time. Now it's time for our third coat of primer. And then by the time we're done with that, I expect Steve will be here. You can see I put a little extra in the areas where we did the body work, but nothing's going to happen to that now. When that's dry, I'm going to put it up under the heating vent. Then I'm going to go shoot those two dogs that are barking. My neighbor has two dogs that I don't know what the deal is. They want FZRs and the other dog wants a Harley. I don't know what the hell's going on. They never shut up. I just came in to flip the battery chargers and see if any of the Bondo fell off of this in the last 3 years. We've had this bike 3 years now. So far, it's held up pretty good. According to this, now this is all going to be black. This piece of tape will come off because this white stripe is just going to end there, and then ultimately this will be red, this will be black. So that's easy to figure out. Now, I'll hold up the two parts and see if the stripe lines up.
Yes.
Now we'll see if we know what we're doing. Pretty self-evident that we know what we're doing, because if one is crooked, Yeah, eyeball it. You got young eyes, I got old eyes.
Good enough for government work.
Good enough? Okay, let's flip it and do the other side.
All right.
And we can put these two in the bank. I'll do all the back masking when we're done laying out the tape. Now, before I started my restoration, I wound up really buying a year's supply of striping tape. This was almost $100 worth of tape. But I wanted to have some of every thickness when I laid out the ladders, but now Steve will have a choice of laying out these stripes and with nice fresh tape, not tape that's 6 years old. I'm impressed.
I am good.
When my business grows, I'll have you. You'll be the employee. You'll be tape baby.
Let's do it.
Now what we have is Steve's got this stripe, according to his sketch, continues on into this. So what we'll do is hold them together, and he can lay the tape right out onto the place. Then all we need to do is decide, you know.
Oh, should I cut this here? Because this is black under it.
You cut it.
Look at that.
Fabuloso, baby. I'm telling you, bitchin' rides would be bitchin' right now, yeah.
You got a blade sharpener?
That's a brand new blade. If you want to commit suicide, that's the one you want to use. You wouldn't even feel it going in.
Okay.
Okay.
Look at that.
Now we want to hold them together. I'll hold them together. So
I got to go now.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. See, this is why I always have the customer put decals on and do the tape, because if this is crooked, it's on you. Just stick them back and back. No, put them back to back.
Back to back.
It's in the eye of the beholder here, baby. Yeah, let's see.
I ain't beholden too good these days.
It's as long as you get the back even. And that's a good way to start anyway.
Okay.
And then that'll force you to get the seat right.
No, something's not right here.
Ducati's looking for a few good men to lay out tape on it.
Ducati.
Concept thing is working out great here.
Well,
Karen is in full approval. Uh-oh, she's not in full approval. A man and his rolls of tape. Hey, Chip Foose, eat your heart out. Now just roughly see from the back.
Go a little higher.
Yeah, roughly. It's all, as long as these two match up and they're straight. Okay, next piece up. Oh. And you got stickers for this too eventually.
I got stickers.
Okay. No, you got it. That's going to be fine.
Perfection is
now this one is not going to wind up with a white stripe according to the concept sketch.
Right.
So this will just be a flip. We always have to make the customer happy. It's this customer. Tough on equipment. Tough on razor blades. We found out we bought brand new razor blades from Harbor Freight. You can't cut your finger with them.
Well, you have to buy the Harbor Freight.
Maybe we were using the wrong edge of the razor blade. Yeah, I don't know.
You got to get the Harbor Freight razor blade sharpener.
Okay, so you got a few parts on now. This has got to match the two pieces that go along the side. So let's do this one first, and then we'll snap them in place. I'll hold them. Oh, yeah, that's good. Put it up there. Hey, this is why we rule the world. We know how to do this kind of stuff.
So I just have it here. Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
Just boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom.
It's an easy paint job. I wish mine was this easy.
So regular GSX naked bike with the Katana bodywork on it. They didn't do anything special.
I didn't even see it yet.
But boy, they had a ceremony with the Japanese drummers and dance and the swords and everything. And
well, that's what a katana is, isn't it? A sword?
Yeah.
Or is it a bird? A Hayabusa is a bird. A pigeon or something.
They let me play the drums on Thursday. Then they were trying to get the
drums.
How
was the show? Was it fun?
It's always fun.
Maybe next year you can give a tape demo for
when you're in the show. It's fun. I don't know what it is for if you're not, because
I was expecting to see you on YouTube.
I just go around, making a nuisance of myself.
This piece has to marry this of these little inserts that go into the fairing.
I think there's one little sharp point on this, and I found it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't even cut my nose with that.
Okay. Let me do it. Let me do that. Let me find it.
How are you going to do that? That's not going to match this.
Watch, young man.
Oh, I forgot I'm dealing with Chip Foose here. Turbo Foose.
You're dealing with it.
You're no fun to work with. I have more fun working with Luciano.
You're dealing with another Polish guy.
At least we get to eat good when Luciano's around. That's pretty funny. We got so much stuff in the shop here. I couldn't find the gas tank. Steve hid the gas tank where it should never have been. But anyway, as a precaution, because of course we're dealing with senior citizens, I'm putting a little tape on every part of the job that has to be read, because I'm not going to have time today to do the back masking, but make sure he approves. I'll get him to sign the check, and we'll be all set to go. Is that other one done?
This one is. Oh, there's a big difference. Just gotta come way down.
A day that'll live in infamy. We're doing this on Pearl Harbor Day, aren't we? Maybe you should name this bike the Pearl Harbor Special.
What's so special about it? It's just a little ninja.
You can always tell when somebody's serious when they're down on their knees praying to the ninja god. Please make my stripe nice and straight. Oh my God.
May all your curves be true.
It is truly a pleasure to watch a professional in action.
Where?
I don't know. Where did she go? So Steve's got all his masking done, and I'm glad he has done it himself, because if he doesn't like it 10 years from now, I got on video that he did it. Anyway, we're going to pick this up the next time we get a session. Today, the rest of this day is going to be consumed by other things. And we have two tables. We have the FZR table, the Ninja table, and every day is an adventure. No 2 days are ever the same here in the shop. So hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.